What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we are starting our final week of talking about the monk class. We have been here for a while, but you know, it's time to move on to new things after this week, and I think we're going to have a great time as we look at the Paladin, but we're going to go out with a bang, right? We are finishing up today with the Sun Soul Monk, and I think we're going to have a great time talking about that. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch the channel are actually not subscribed, so please don't be one of those people. Help us to reach our goal of 5,000 by the end of this year. I think we can do it, but I need your help in order to get there. And of course, make sure to share the video with your friends and click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. So the Way of the Sun Soul Monk is somewhat unique. The most similar subclass of monk that we have to it is probably the Way of Four Elements monk, in that we have different ways to use our ki to use spells or spell-like attacks. In this case, we have a little bit of a mixture of the two, and so we can use our ki to make these special types of energy attacks. And we actually can then cast certain spells. We can spend more ki to upcast them, that sort of thing. Is it going to be worth it, and is it going to be better than other monk subclasses? Let's find out. Starting at level 3, we get Radiant Sunbolt, and this gives us another way to make attacks. And so this is an interesting kind of energy blast that we can take advantage of, and it's interesting, right? So with this, whenever we use our action, we can actually make this kind of attack instead. And so it is a ranged spell attack with a range of 30 feet. We are proficient with it, and it will add our dexterity modifier to both the attack and damage rolls, which is interesting. We deal radiant damage, and it is only a d4 of damage for now, but that will scale with our martial arts die up to a d10 eventually. In addition, whenever we use our attack action to make this special attack, we can actually spend a ki point and then make it 2 more times. So basically it's a replacement for Flurry of Blows. So you can make 1 as your action and then 2 more as a bonus action. And then of course, once we get extra attack, we can do this twice. And then if we wanted to spend ki, we could do it again 2 times. So what do we think of this? This is actually pretty interesting, and it's really not that bad, right? We've got a 30-foot range, and we can now basically deal unarmed strike damage. It's the same damage that we would have dealt with an unarmed strike, but it's now radiant damage at a 30-foot range. And so we can still Flurry of Blows, essentially, which is what it's saying. We can spend 1 ki point to make 2 more as bonus action. So we can Flurry of Blows with it. We can make extra attack with it. So it's essentially, we're only missing out on a couple of things. Basically, we're not going to have like Crusher coming into effect at range. But that's really like the only thing that's going to be a problem. And it's not like you can't do unarmed strikes as well. This just gives you another option. It doesn't cost you ki to do this, which is good. And so you can just do this whenever you want. And so that really helps you to actually stay safe. It's going to keep you from having to necessarily use your patient defenses or your Step of the Winds in order to get away from something, because you can be 30 feet away, make these attacks, and then get out, right? And that really is quite nice for a monk to be able to stay safe when maybe your AC isn't the best, when maybe you don't have all that much HP. This can actually be quite a help to you. So overall, I really like this feature. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. If it cost ki, it probably would definitely have tanked, because I don't think it's worth spending ki on this. But I do think that as a Flurry of Blows feature, it can actually work pretty well. And it's really not that bad. Like I said, radiant damage is generally pretty good. At level 6, we get Searing Arc Strike. And so this is where we start actually picking up an actual spell. And so with this, we can actually spend 2 ki points to cast Burning Hands as a bonus action, as long as we took the attack action on our turn. And then we can also spend additional ki points to upcast Burning Hands. And each additional ki point that we spend increases the spell's level by 1. And of course, the maximum number of ki points that we can spend on the spell is equal to half of our monk level. This is where things start to kind of go off the rails a little bit, because that is expensive. And yes, it's for a bonus action, and that's fine. But Honestly, I would rather just spend the 1 key point and make 2 unarmed strikes. I mean, being able to upcast this is nice, but the scaling is not good. The amount of key that you have to spend is atrocious for what it is. So I really don't think it's worth casting Burning Hands as a bonus action for the cost of key that this is. I would much rather spend 1 key point and make 2 unarmed strikes than I would actually casting Burning Hands, because at this point, you know, you're going to be dealing what, 2d6 damage. I would rather do that for 1 key point, because over the course of 2 key points in 2 rounds, you're going to get more damage out of it by doing it that way. So I probably would hardly use this unless I've got a bunch of enemies that are really bunched up. Otherwise, I'm just going to spread my damage out for Radiant Sunbolt and save my key. So I just don't think that this is all that great. Unfortunately, I've got to give this a 5 out of 10. It's not the worst thing in the world, I guess, because Burning Hands is not a bad spell necessarily, but I just don't think it's worth the key that it's going to cost you. At level 11, we get Searing Sunburst, and this gives us yet another way to use key, possibly, to make these kinds of attacks. This attack is more akin to Fireball, but it is a little bit different. So with this as an action, we can hurl this ball of light and energy. And so we have a 150-foot range on this, and it is a 20-foot radius sphere. And so the opponent must make a Constitution saving throw, or they will take 2d6 radiant damage. One thing to note is that this will not go through any kind of cover or anything that is opaque. It does not go around cover because it's technically a light ball, so that's kind of a weird thing. And if we wanted to technically upcast this feature, we can spend up to 3 key points in order to add 2d6 more damage per key point. So if we wanted to, we could spend 3 key points and make this the 8d6 that a Fireball would normally be. So let's talk about this. I personally am not a huge fan of this feature. In fact, I'm not a fan of it really at all. It's just too little damage to be dealing here at level 11. Yes, we can upcast it if we wanted to, up to a Fireball with 3 key points. There is a bit of a debate when it comes to this feature as to whether or not you need to spend the key in order to upcast this before or after you know that they made the save. I tend to err on the side of when you cast this, that's when you say I'm spending the key points, which definitely makes this really, really bad, because Constitution saving throws are pretty much the worst thing that you can possibly target. And if they end up succeeding on this saving throw, the damage is 0, and you've now burned 3 key points for absolutely nothing just to be able to say I cast a Radiant Fireball. I just think that that's a huge waste of key. And even if you don't spend key on this, it's only 2d6 damage, which is just abysmal damage, right? I just don't think that it's worth ever using this, like hardly at all. And so it's just not good. I just don't think that this is worth my key. I don't think this is worth my time. I would probably rather do almost anything else than this. So I've got to give this a 4 out of 10. I think that it's worse than the Burning Hands personally, because it takes your action, and the damage is bad, and it's a Constitution saving throw. They don't even take half damage on a save. Like it's bad. It's just a bad feature. I don't like it. Finally, level 17, we get Sun Shield, and we now shed Bright Light in a 30-foot radius and Dim Light for an extra 30 feet. And if we want to, we can extinguish this or bring it back as a bonus action. So you don't necessarily have to have this on all the time if it's going to ruin your stealth mission. But I mean, you know, who doesn't want to walk around glowing all the time? I don't know. I would. Then you also get another feature here where if a creature hits you with a melee attack while you have the light active, then you can actually deal radiant damage to that creature equal to 5 plus your wisdom modifier. So again, I don't like this feature. It's rough, right? Here we are at level 17 and we're getting a flavor feature. That's what this is, right? We can glow. That's it. The only advantage here is that now you can see if you didn't have dark vision, or maybe your friend that didn't have dark vision before can see. It is 17th level It is so incredibly late to be getting something like this. I don't think that that's worth going 17 levels to get something like this, just to be able to get around dark vision. And maybe you can play something off to somebody saying that, you know, this monk is some kind of deity because of the glow it gives off. I don't know, but I don't think that this is worth going 17 levels just to be able to glow. I don't think so. And then we also can just deal back 10 damage to an opponent if we're hit with a melee attack. And the thing is, we have to use our reaction for it. So it's not even like if something has 2, 3, 4 attacks, then we hit them multiple times. No, it costs our reaction to do this. So you get it once and that's it. So just that damage is awful. The amount of times you can use it is awful. And I don't think this is good. This is a really, really bad capstone feature, and I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10. It's atrocious. It's awful. So what do we think overall? I feel like I've made my thoughts pretty clear about this subclass. It's not good. It's not one of my favorites. In fact, I greatly dislike it. There are so many things that they could have done better here. And honestly, for this coming out in Xanathars, I don't understand why we are still nerfing monks so hard at this point in the monk's life cycle, right? We figured out that PHB stuff was weak, and we're like, okay, man, you know, we can adjust this. Besides open hand, we weren't doing all that great. And so here's their chance to do something different, to do something cool, and it's just, it's bad. It's just awful. We get the Radiant Sunbolt, which is really our only good feature. In my opinion, I think Radiant Sunbolt is cool and I think it's good, but I don't think any of the other features are really worth my time or key. I would just run around using Radiant Sunbolt all the time and that's it. And I find that to be really, really hard to think about all of these different features that we're getting here that just cost too much key for very little benefit. And it's just not worth it to me. It's just not worth it to me to cast Burning Hands very often, especially at the cost of 2 key points. The Searing Sunburst is not worth it at all unless you are really, you know, 150 feet away and you want to just throw something at somebody. Otherwise, I would never use this because they're going to pass that con save. And then Sun Shield is complete trash. So these features just are not good. They don't help the monk at all. They don't build onto the monk class. They don't build on each other. There's nothing here that I like at all, except for Radiant Sunbolt, and that's it. So unfortunately, this one is definitely not going to pass our ranking, and I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. It's bad. It's really, really bad, and I don't think I really would ever want to play one of these. I don't think I'd ever be interested. So yeah, that's our ranking. It's not good, but that's okay. That means we are going to be fixing this subclass later this week. And of course, the best way to keep up with that is to make sure you are subscribed so that you see when the new video comes out, and make sure that you are a member of the channel so that you can get a copy of this subclass fix. Of course, all of my members will get access to that subclass fix, and so you can have that and keep that, bring it to your table, show your DM, see what the DM thinks, and maybe you can use that at that table. Just let me know what you think down below of my ranking, and until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.